Hi, Group J. Earlier this year, we studied shapes. We studied shapes with three sides and three corners, vertices, right? Called, what's a three-sided shape with three vertices? Triangles, right? And we studied shapes with four sides and four vertices called quadrilaterals, right? And there are different types of triangles and different types of quadrilaterals. But all of the shapes we studied earlier this year were two-dimensional. Two-dimensional. That means they were flat, like shapes that can be drawn on paper. Now we are going to be taking a look at three-dimensional shapes. So what's a three-dimensional shape? One way to think about it is a three-dimensional shape takes up space. Another way to think about it is a three-dimensional shape is a shape that could be filled with something. For example, of course, my coffee mug is a three-dimensional shape. It's called a cylinder, and I fill it with coffee. Let's see, I have a book here. A book is actually a three-dimensional shape. Look at that. It takes up space. It's not flat. And it is technically filled with something. It's filled with pages to read, right? But one of the cool things about three-dimensional shapes is when you look at them, you can see that their surfaces are made of two-dimensional shapes. So shapes that we can pretty easily recognize. What shape am I kind of running my finger across here that makes up the surface, one surface of this book? It's a rectangle. It's a long, skinny rectangle. Well, I would love to show you the top or the bottom of my coffee mug, what my coffee would spill. Can you guess what shape is at the top and bottom of this cylinder? Circles, right? Here's another cylinder. It's a box. This one I can turn over and you can see how it's a circle at the bottom, right? So for our sort of combination three-dimensional shape study and neighborhood study, today I have a three-part assignment for you. Stay tuned for part one.
All right, come on with me. Let's take a little walk around my neighborhood and check out some three-dimensional shapes.
Wow, look at this house. I see a lot of shapes going on here. Rectangles, triangles, cylinders. A cylinder is round, right? Do you see what I'm talking about? There's kind of a castle turret type thing there. Maybe almost a cone shape at the top behind the chimney. And there's a semicircle kind of archway, and then below it I see almost a flattened looking triangle. It's a very triangle with a very wide angle at the top. Now look, a pentagon. That's a five-sided shape. Can you see the sides? Okay, here comes a ton of rectangle action. Look at all the rectangles put together to make these buildings. Whoa, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I don't know, I'm losing count. So many rectangles.
Okay, so that was part one. Part two is to actually choose a building in your neighborhood. It could be your very own house or it could be a different one, as long as it's a building that you can see from front, back, and sides. Okay, so I picked my house because that was really the easiest. And here's what I did. I went to the front, back, and sides of my house and I drew the shapes I noticed on the front, back, and sides. So as you can see, I split my paper here into 4 sections, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I noticed about the shapes on my house. One thing I noticed was that the front, back, and sides had a lot of the same shapes. Okay, like the two sides look pretty much identical. They're made of rectangles and triangles. Same with the front and back, although the rectangles on the front and back of the house are not as long as the rectangles on the sides of the house. And you know what? I noticed that on the back of my house, the garage made kind of a skinny rectangle shape, excuse me. And so did the chimney. The chimney was kind of a tall, skinny rectangle shape. Okay, so that's part 2. Part 3, I think, is kind of a fun part. This part of the assignment is really kind of helping you get ready for next week's project with 3D shapes, okay? So, part 3 is to start finding and collecting some 3D shapes from around your house. So for example, I found this empty cracker box in my recycling. Well, this is pretty much all from my recycling. And so, you know, I'm seeing already that there are some rectangles and possibly a square. Maybe this is a rectangle. I don't know, making up this 3D shape. I have a rectangular coffee filter box here, and I even found a cylinder. Ooh, pretty cool. I rescued this ice cream container also from my recycling. So next week we are going to be doing some building with 3D shapes. Now, here's what I want to say about this part of the assignment. You have to check with the grown-ups in your house to make sure it's okay with them to be collecting things from the recycling or wherever you can find them. And whatever you collect, it has to be something that that's okay to use for a little while, that nobody else in your house needs right away. Make sense? Okay. So that's it. Have so much fun with this 3-part assignment, and I can't wait to see what you post about it.